Today is the day the BC NDP and John Horgan are sworn in as the next government and Premier of British Columbia. I told you last week about a new bureaucracy within the Premier's office that is being created so the NDP and Green Party can manage their working agreement, as the Greens have committed to prop up the NDP on all supply and confidence matters. But why that means the NDP feels like they need to create a new position called the Supply and Confidence Secretariat is frankly beyond me, other than the usual suspicion that the Socialist NDP want to create more bureaucrats because those are the only good paying jobs the left knows how to create. But thankfully, I'm not alone in my concern of this misuse of taxpayer money for what appears to be a purely political purpose, as the BC Liberals, despite their Liberal name, are a party of fiscal hawks. And so Vancouver-Quilchena MLA Andrew Wilkinson wrote a letter yesterday to the Comptroller General to complain about this new position. And he stated in the letter, quote, "By placing this so-called secretariat within the office of the Premier, this political office would be funded and supported by the BC Public Service Resources," unquote. And in a further statement provided to the Rebel by Wilkinson, he continued, quote, "We believe that this so-called secretariat is more appropriate as a body within the BC NDP caucus in the Legislative Assembly, not as part of the Premier's office. This is why I have written to the Comptroller General requesting an urgent opinion on this matter," unquote. Wilkinson is dead right. This is the kind of job that is much more suited to be within the NDP caucus, and it frankly sounds like the job of the House Leader. And it's not as if there is any precedent either for this type of agreement in any other previous minority governments in Canada. In the 1980s in Ontario, the Bob Rae-David Peterson deal didn't require a whole separate bureaucracy just to operate, and it managed to last just fine until Peterson called a snap election in 1987. And more recently, the Harper Tories did not need any agreement or new bureaucracy during their 5 years as a minority government. And heck, even that backroom coalition deal cooked up by Dion, Mulcair, and Duceppe in 2008, well, it just built in planned formal consultations between the Liberals, NDP, and Bloc Québécois. So let's hope the Comptroller General is looking out for taxpayers here. The NDP cabinet was also sworn in today, and while Horgan and Justin Trudeau may not see eye to eye on the Kinder Morgan pipeline, Horgan appears to be drawing inspiration from our dear leader on at least one issue, as the NDP announced ahead of time that their cabinet will be, wait for it, gender balanced. Yep. No time for merit-based appointments because that was so pre-2015. All sarcasm aside, this is very concerning because we know the result of gender-balanced federal cabinet came with some clearly unqualified rookie MPs who were taking on cabinet positions they were clearly not able to handle. Maryam Monsef, Catherine McKenna, and Ikra Khalid come to mind right away. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying women shouldn't be in the cabinet. For instance, despite her weird personality quirks, I can't argue with Chrystia Freeland being in the cabinet or say she's not qualified. Nor would I say NDP MLA Carol James shouldn't be in the provincial cabinet just because she's a two-time loser as party leader in the 2005 and 2009 elections. No, she'll be in that cabinet, and that's expected. What concerns me is if all of this in the name of gender balance, we get some far-left ideologue destroyers who are completely incompetent. But even more concerning than that is ahead of the swearing in, there was close to 125 government staff who were simply fired by the NDP. And yeah, they were appointed by the Liberals, but many of them were fiercely nonpartisan, including many communication staff for the government. Of course, with cushy government jobs come cushy severance, and taxpayers will be on the hook for up to 18 months' pay for each of the 125 fired staffers. The NDP haven't even been sworn into government, and yet they are already feeding at the taxpayer trough. Sad. For the Rebel.media, I'm Christopher Wilson. Stay tuned tomorrow where I'll go through the list of cabinet appointees and find out who British Columbia's new set of destroyers are.